Seems that there are some people that are still having problems getting at number 2 and number 3 spark plugs. As you can see, all spark plugs, they're installed at an angle. If they were installed straight, then this extension would be straight, but it's not. So you can see number 1 is pointing off to the side, and number 2 is pointing off to the side, and you can see how easy that was for me to get it on there. I didn't even look from the top, so there should be no problems getting to it as long as you have a long extension. Same with number 3 and number 4. Okay, and then obviously you need your release tool for the connectors. The only thing that you need to also worry about sometimes is, well, I always disconnect the injector, number 4 injector. It just gives me a little bit more room to put the tool down in here. But that's pretty much it. And 5/8 should be 5/8. 5/8. Fairly straightforward. And if you have a wobble, extension, then that makes things a little bit easier as well. You can use a universal joint, but like I said, even with a straight joint, there should be clearance. This plastic fuel rail here, or for the wiring harness, has some play. Sometimes there's zip ties that hold it down. What you can do is you can cut the zip tie, and then that moves this little harness a little bit more to give you a little bit more room. But otherwise, it should be easy to replace spark plugs on these engines. My coworker is doing a timing belt on a Eurovan, and I went to check the crank seal. Well, it was leaking, so he pulled off the sprocket. But on closer inspection, let me see if I can spot it. Right there. You can see that there's a crack going right through this sprocket. Dieter, liebe my Abschmenki. There it is right there. Kind of hard to see, but it's these little things you gotta watch out for. Well spotted on his part. I don't know if I would have spotted that. He obviously went and cleaned the inside here to make it slide nice and easy back on, and I think that's when he spotted it. So well spotted. Cracked crank pulley, crank sprocket. 2009 Jetta TDI, or is it a Golf? That's a Jetta TDI. Low clutch pedal, or a no clutch, dead clutch pedal. So he took the assembly off. Lots of fluid here. This guy is broken. This plastic piece broke, so every time you step on the clutch, fluid comes out. Don't know why it broke. Maybe old age, who knows, we'll see. We're gonna replace this piece. It goes from, attaches to the slave cylinder. The slave cylinder is inside the bell housing, so it attaches here, and the clutch line attaches here. So this piece we're replacing, and then hopefully that solves that. I don't feel like pulling a tranny on this. I got the new one installed. That's the old one. You can see the broken piece at the end. Focus. So there was no need of me needing for me to show you how to do this. It's really as simple as that. Just removing 2 clips, as Bodget or Leon of Bodget and Leggett says. There's really no need to show. It's as easy, as simple as that. Just lift the clip. You can see the clip is lifted. Same on the other side. The other side was actually broken, came right out. Then you just disconnect the line, and you reattach everything, and then you bleed it. That's it. It really is as simple as that. When doing timing belts on the 1.8Ts, this one's already going back together. What I like to do is I like to keep the grenade pin in the tensioner. You can see the pin right down here. Focus. That's the pin right there. I like to keep that in place, then rotate it 2 turns, which I already did, so that's lined up. and you can see the crank is lined up. So now that I know timing is okay, or at least belt timing, I can now pull that pin out. The bracket is still loose, so I have clearance, and that's why I also bent the pin, that eyelid, I bent it over so that it's easier to remove. I'll explain what I mean. This is a different pin, but this one for the 1.8 T's, you can see how I bent it. It's the same as this one, but this I think was out of that 4.2 liter, so it's a little bit beefier. They come straight like this, and so what I do is I leave it in the tensioner, and then I bend the head over, and then that gives me a little bit more clearance. You can see how much longer the head is when it's not bent over. And basically what that extra clearance then lets me pull this thing out with the bracket in place. Anyways, that's it. Should be fairly straightforward. Obviously be careful with the 1.8 T's because they are interference fit engines, so are the 2 liters, but the 1.8s are a little bit trickier to set up in terms of the belt, the cam, etc., because things like to move. You know, while you have things apart, things like to move, and then when you put it back together, you think it's all top dead center. It's not, and that's why you want to rotate the engine 2 turns to make sure everything is lined up before you start it. Yeah, I mentioned this in one of my other videos. Here's just a refresher for the new guys. Before you tighten down this pulley or harmonic balancer, you can see how much movement there is here. It's not much, but it's still, quite a bit. So right here, that's the dimple for the TDC, and you can see down here the pulley, the mark, and you can see this is how much the pulley wiggles. So you could be off this much, and then basically align your timing belt to here, but because of this play, you're actually somewhat out in terms of timing. So the best timing mark to rely on is the one at the flywheel, at the transmission. This is a good visual aid from the top, just for initial setting up the TDC before you take things apart. But when you align your timing belt, use the marks at the transmission. And what you can do when you put this one back in, position it so the dimple is nicely centered in the hole. Something like that, and that might actually line everything up here as well. Not even, as you can see. So that's lined up right there. Well, actually, no, that is center, but it's at the end of the stop here. So anyways, just keep things in mind, keep small things like that in mind. Focus. Thanks for watching. Just a quick tip, whenever you're working on the alternator here, because of this wire could be live, all you need to do is disconnect this black cable from the fuse box right down here. This is the alternator cable. So with this cable disconnected, this side is not hot. You don't have to disconnect the whole battery. That way you don't lose any settings inside the vehicle. Another useful tip, hopefully. Looks like it's been a busy month for YouTube. Look at all the copyright claims that they've filed against my videos. This is all of November. Most of those are old videos anyways, which I think were already not monetized, but I'm gonna have to go through all of this. It's crazy, all the work we put into it, and then we can't even make money off of stuff. And I think that's maybe why a lot of people are doing more live chats these days to get the super chats. I don't know. Time to rethink this YouTube stuff. 92 Eurovan. Looks like at one point in time there was an underhood fire. You can see here all that blackness is from smoke charring. And it should actually have black plastic all the way around here, which that's what's basically burnt off. and you can see some of the white powdery residue here. I think it had a spark arcing as well, but I think the main leak, the problem was that at one point in time there was a fuel hose that was leaking, because taking a closer look you can see that's a new piece of hose and it's double clamped over here. At first I thought it was the distributor kept arcing, setting the thing on fire, but that can obviously not really cause the plastic continue to burn like that. So I think it did have a fuel leak that caused this. Would have been a good candidate for the underhood fireman, the auto fireman that I recently made a video about. But anyways, just thought I'd show you guys this. Never seen this before. And you can see on the inside here the blackness. Crazy. Just draining coolant, so I can get at the coolant flange here. That's leaking. You can see it running down along here. Common issue with age. Flange looks like this. Straightforward to replace. No need for me to show you. It's as simple as that, as Bodget and Leggett would say. Leon of Bodget and Leggett. It's as simple as that. No need for me to show you.